Alright, so what we essentially want to go ahead and do now is start working on this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a component in here called product variant selector, and we're going to go ahead and start working on that now. But before we do that, let's go ahead in here and have livewire components product variant selector. We're going to take a product in. So inside product variant selector, in here we want to have a public product of product. We want to make sure we return a view in here as well. So let's go ahead and make sure we do that, and let's go ahead and also just use Laravel Paint here for this. Perfect. Alright, so in here we want to go ahead and start out by adding in a public array of selected variance equals to an empty array. We're going to have a public current level set to 0 as an int, and then we're going to have in here a public function select variant. In here we're going to have an ID and we're going to have a value. Then in here, let's go ahead and make sure this runs properly. In here we're going to have ID and value, just like that. And let's run Paint again. Then we're going to have a public function get current variance. We're going to return a collection in here. So we're going to have in here an if empty this selected variance. In this case, we want to return a collection of this product variance. And then current is going to be equals to this product variance. Then we're going to have a for each in here. So what we're doing here essentially is we're going through the selected variance, which we get, and then we go through and set them here. And if there's nothing else, we'll just go for the break. And then in here we need to return a bit of information. So let's go ahead and now fix this file. Inside here, we want a few things as well. So we're going to have in here a class of space y8. We're going to have another div in here. Then we're going to have another div in here, but with a class of space y4. Then in here we're going to have a for each, and in this case it's going to be this selected variance as going to get the index of the selection. And then we're going to have an MB4 with a flex, with an item center, with a space x2, with a text small. And then we're going to have a span in here. In this span, we're going to have a text gray 500. And then in here, we're going to have the value of the selection. And then essentially what we're going to go ahead and do in here, and this is going to be a bit more complicated, so we're just going to go through this. We're going to have two different selectors here. If the type is color, we're going to bring in a color selector. If the type is option, so that's the range selection we have, we're going to have that in. In this one, we're going to have is selected set as well, so we can see if it's selected or not. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and create an option selector and a color selector. So now we have both of those created. We can go ahead and set inside the color selector. And in here, this is actually quite a similar class. I don't want to spend time typing it out. Instead, I'm just going to go through and explain it. So we're going to have a variant in here. We're going to have the variant ID and if it is selected. And then we're going to make sure we also have in here the view rendered. And then for the color selector, for the color selector blade file, we're just going to go down here. We're going to have a wire click in here where we set the variant, display the label here. We're going to set the variant here. We're going to have the styling, add the classes. Make sure that we have the specific custom color in here, and add the label here as well for read only, for screen readers essentially. And then for the variant picker, we're going to have first and foremost, we're going to return a view. We're going to have a public. Again, it's actually going to be remarkably similar here. So we may as well just go ahead and copy and paste this. So we're going to have these set in here. And then we're going to go ahead in here and add void. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we use paint here as well to just make it look a bit more readable. And then lastly, we also want to go ahead and have the option selector here. So at the moment this doesn't work fully, so we need to make a few changes in here. So the first thing I want to go ahead and do now is let's go ahead into our product variant selector. And actually we want to go ahead and get rid of this label bit here, I think. So what we can go ahead and do in here is make sure that this is set to an array. Upon mounting, we are gonna now say public function mount. In here we're gonna say this selected color is gonna be equal to variant ID, and it's going to be null, but we're going to set the selected options to an empty array. And when we set the color, we're going to set that to, in this case, the color here. And then we're just going to have two other functions in here to get the variance. And instead of having this current variance in here, we're going to go ahead and have color variance. We're going to have children variance. Going to use Laravel Paint again. And then if we go ahead now, let's go ahead and see how the product variant selector file is going to look like. So what we're doing now in here instead is we are going through the color variance. Then we're checking if it's selected. We're going to show the label that's selected. Then we go through and check for the children options here. We're going to render through them here, and let's go ahead and take a look. So this can be fixed in here by using the correct naming. So let's go ahead and do that. And in the next video, we can go ahead and sort out how we can actually select them here. So I've added in an extra color, and you can see we can now have the children variant in here. So we're probably gonna later on actually go ahead and use these children components, but I think for now, let's leave them out of the equation. And we're going to start using them later on, because this is quite a lot of work to make this variant selector properly and fully work. But that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching it. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.